Coming up on LUTV News, Lindenwood University hosts an anti-racism candlelight vigil to shed light on injustice in our society. Plus, some students are having to take their classes online because of COVID-19. Students tell us what they think of this new way of going to school and the struggles they're facing. And people are finally heading back to historic St. Charles to check out local musicians on Main Street. Those stories and more ahead on LUTV News. Welcome to this edition of LUTV News. I'm Billy Woods. Experts from Lindenwood University speak to the campus about the area's recent unrest during an anti-racism candlelight vigil. I attended the event here on campus. Here's what they had to say. In an effort to bring awareness to systematic racism and police brutality across the country, Lindenwood University, with the help of Reverend Dr. Nicole Torbitsky and Dr. Shane Williamson in one of her last public appearances with Lindenwood University, hosted an anti-racism candlelight vigil here on Lindenwood University campus.
And it is our job to educate and change our own behavior. It is our job to talk with other white people about racism. It is our job to demand change in law enforcement practices.
Abiding by COVID guidelines on campus, students and faculty gathered at the Lindenwood Theater in the J. Scheidegger Center for a mixture of powerful words,
conversations lead to actions, and actions can change the world.
Presentations,
America, get your knees off our necks,
and singing.
So the anti-racist vigil is critical, not just to Lindenwood University, but to our society, because we need to educate ourselves on our history, we need to educate ourselves on what's happening, and we need to be able to be in a position to make a change. And it's important to me professionally as well as personally.
Ladies and gentlemen, racism has dictated life or death for many people that look just like me. Might just look like you too.
But it's really important for us to know that we're in this together rather than separate groups. And so it's good to have events like the anti-racism vigil to know, like collectively, that we're in this together.
Once the speakers finished, everyone stood in silence with their lit candles for 8 minutes and 46 seconds in remembrance of George Floyd and to bring awareness to police brutality. For LUTV News, I'm Billy Woods. For more information on how to join the Black Student Union or for how to qualify for the Black Student Excellence and Enrichment Program, visit lindenwood.edu. Straight ahead on LUTV News, Lindenwood students are faced with taking their classes online amid the pandemic. We speak with a few of them to find out how they're adapting.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently, learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out."
COVID-19 has forced many students to go online for their classes. Reporter Claire Beaudry has a story on how students are adjusting to online classes.
COVID-19 has affected Lindenwood students to take some, maybe all, of their classes online. I talked to some of those students to see how they adjusted.
Online classes, for the most part, are going very well. I would say that the most difficult thing about online classes is really just missing the one-on-one interaction between different students. I find that when you're in a classroom setting and there are other students talking, they'll bring up concepts and ideas that you didn't really think about, but when you're doing it online, that's really just a missing component.
Even though students are staying home more during the school year, they still get online when they're supposed to, and to make sure they have their books close by if they need them or struggle anytime during the online class.
Right now, my online classes are going pretty okay. Not as bad as I thought that they would go, but definitely not anything compared to what in-person classes would be.
Students still email and ask professors for help whenever they need. The students make sure to follow along in class so they have as minimum questions as possible, and also follow along with the slides that the professor provides to the students. Some students still go to classes and will still get help without using email with their professors. The students also make sure to take better notes to stay with the class and be prepared for homework. For LUTV News, I'm Claire Beaudry.
COVID-19 led Lindenwood to shut down abruptly just 6 months ago. Reporter Will Crawford goes in depth about what another shutdown would look like and what students think about the current on-campus restrictions.
With the shutdown that occurred just 6 months ago, Lindenwood administrators are doing what they can to make sure a shutdown doesn't happen again. Lindenwood has many signs placed around campus, hand sanitizer dispensers, and one-way doors and stairs. They are also having strict rules in campus housing.
To rely on everybody to do this. The visitation rules are put in place to help maintain the social distancing. And I can tell you that in pockets, the processes are working. The social distancing that we have for faculty and staff, last time I checked the numbers, I think we have no reported cases of faculty or staff with COVID on campus.
According to Provost Rand, the shutdown would be a series of closures, not just a complete shutdown. This would also affect activities and athletics as well.
A member from athletics on the university's pandemic preparedness team, so they're in concert with each other and in complete communication. So whatever is decided there with athletics will take into account everyone's safety and the schedule of the institution. So,
despite the restrictions on campus, many students feel visitors should be allowed on campus and in the dorms.
I mean, if that person's done a great job of being socially distant and they're not going out and partying and they're wearing masks all the time, I feel like they should be allowed to come on campus.
The Lindenwood Provost, along with many other administrators, are making sure that the campus stays open and classrooms like this can be filled very soon.
We're constantly in conversation with health authorities at the county and state, national levels, and they're all recommending what we're doing.
Reporting for LUTV News, I'm Will Crawford.
For more information on coronavirus on campus, visit the Roaring Return page at lindenwood.edu. Coming up on LUTV News, find out how historic St. Charles is incorporating music and social distancing to revitalize the area. Stay tuned for more information if you want to go check it out.
is Jaina. Into the future. Do you remember back when I was in 7th grade? Anything that I would do, she would make fun of me, she would laugh at me, she would talk to her friends and whisper. I grew up to be more independent and love myself and just be a little bit more confident.
Aw, I'm like a little tearing up right now.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back. Historic St. Charles is known for their strip of locally owned businesses. Since quarantine, these businesses have seen a sharp decline in customers. A new event called Mask and Music brought the opportunity to get everyone out to hit the shops again. Reporter Haley Reeves has a story on this event and the people attending.
An event called Masks and Music has been taking place every Saturday this month. Performers come out and sing their acoustic covers of their own songs on guitars, banjos, and even a violin, while other people roam and shop here on historic St. Charles.
I'm playing for what's called Mask Music on Main Street, and you might be able to see my little bubble here, so I can not have a mask on inside my fence, but when I leave the fence, I need to have a mask on.
Masks and Music invited 8 to 9 performers every Saturday to come out and perform on the streets of historic St. Charles.
The vibes are so cool. So there's a lot of people like playing that are scattered around Main Street, and there's a guitarist, a violinist. There was someone singing Britney Spears, and I absolutely love Britney Spears. So like the vibes are off the charts.
My loneliness is killing me, and I must confess.
Number one, it's getting out and playing again after being locked up with the quarantine. And frankly, these days, most of the playing we're going to do is outside. So when the weather gets a little colder, this type of thing is gone.
This event has made it possible for people to support small local artists and also support their small businesses while they're roaming around and listening to music.
Like we're still in quarantine technically, but it really feels like the community is opening up again, and there's a real sense of camaraderie between the musicians and the passerbyers.
Doing events like this in the fall gives artists a chance to show off their work and gives people a chance to appreciate it while being safe and socially distant. I'm Haley Reeves for LUTV News.
To hear more from local musician Chris Griffith, check out his website, chrisgriffithmusic.com. And that's it for this edition of LUTV News. I'm Billy Woods, and thanks for joining us.